So let's talk about the toleration doctrine. This is a new term that I coined that really encompasses what we have experienced over the last 2 years. Give me a moment. I'm going to refer to my notes in this because I want to really build a picture for you, because it's not just what we see, but it also is where the expectation is based upon history on where they're trying to lead us. So the toleration doctrine is about shifting norms. It's about changing the whole population without force. And so you begin to do little things and use little key phrases, tell people this is the new norm, just tolerate. And if you don't tolerate it, you're intolerant, and then you get battered or verbally battered with a whole bunch of bad names that nobody wants to hear. That's the surface level of it. But there is a sinister part of this that's really destructive, and that's what it's designed to do. But let me just give you a brief definition of what I have here. That toleration doctrine is a strategy of cultural reprogramming that uses moral language to shift values, normalize what was once rejected, and silence opposition without debating. Sounds like the Biden years, huh? One example of this that we all are going through right now is what's happening with the diversity is our strength. That's my Nancy Pelosi, voice. Diversity is our strength. And we got bludgeoned with that. We were told that front, right, and center. And that was said and used in order to shut us up. We were supposed to be quiet about some of the things that were beyond questionable. They were straight wrong. But as long as they said that, it was like, oh, I better not say anything. Well, you have to be tolerant. Tolerant of what? Well, in part of that bucket, it was tolerant of all of the people who don't belong in America, who broke into America, who's now in America. I'm just thinking about a moment where I seen on TV, I think it was TV or on social media, either way it goes, under the Biden administration, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they were taking some of these illegals, dropping them off inside of different states under the cover of night, putting them on planes or buses and dropping them off. And then all of a sudden, you just got these illegals wandering around in your city. And what were we told? Well, diversity is your strength and you should love them. That's what we were sold and told. And then if you said anything against them, if you said anything against this, then you were all type of phobics. You were this phobic or that phobic. You were evil. You were wrong. They want to cancel you, shut you down. They're gonna ban you on all social media because you realize then that you really don't have the right to speak like you thought that you, the freedom of speech like you thought that you did. All these things happen because they're trying to move the norm. They're trying to shift it. They're trying to cause you to accept something that they know is unacceptable, but they want you to accept it because it goes into their gains and our losses. There are other examples that I can give you, but right now I'm just going to shift gears for a minute, because when I learned about, this is a strategy that's used. It's a warfare strategy that is used. It is a psyop that is used against the population. One person who used this was, I don't even know if people understand the dangers of Hitler, but at one point he used this, right? So before there was brutality, there was normalization, there was desensitization, there was language control. Just be open-minded, don't be divisive. They were getting the people who eventually were led to their own non-existence. They didn't just agree to that. And before the brutality came in, you had this coaxing that we're seeing today. I hope my video gets to you. There were another people, and I won't say any names, that they put you in re-education camps. People weren't just jailed. They were pressured socially. They were isolated. They were labeled backwards, and they were retrained. The goal was to create or to recreate a new kind of citizen. And then, of course, we have what happened with the Roman Empire. With them, where we had unity is our strength, or diversity is our strength, they had unity over conviction. So with them, they were telling Christians, who only have one God. You cannot serve God in Buddha, God in Allah, God in Jesus Christ. Let me just be clear. Jesus in Allah, Jesus in Wicca, Jesus, none of that. It was him by himself, Christ alone, no other gods, no in additions, no addendums, none of that. So during the time of the Roman Empire, before they retitled themselves, but during the times of the Roman Empire, Christians were told, just worship Caesar. Be tolerant. Everyone has their own gods. So there's more that I can go through, but I think you get my point. And so I want to leave you with this last thing, because this is happening, and the only way it's not going to happen is if we do something about it. Historically speaking, when you go into reading about the USSR, when you read about the Roman Empire, when you read about Nazi Germany, when you read about these civilizations that was taken over by a particular ideology, and next thing you know, they're not what they used to be, it didn't first start with brutality. It started with toleration campaigns. And so historically, tolerance campaigns are used by ruling systems to soften moral resistance, to unify thought, and to make populations easier to govern by weakening convictions before enforcing control. This is why I go hard for America, because America needs to be America. But if America is not acting American, then she will be no more. Because there are people, there are certain groups, plural, that want to change America into something else that is not befitting of a dog. And they want to transform those ideologies. Look at what we're seeing happening with other places or other groups of people within our society. Now, I'm not one to go into black and white. Listen, I'm American, I'm human. And if we share the same faith as Christians, then you're my brother or sister in Christ. Other than that, we are Americans. But when you have what we have going on right now, which is a hush campaign to make sure to not say what's really happening to the American people, so that the American people would do nothing and think that it's just business as usual. We're just going through a hump, but we'll be okay. This is not that time. This is the time to rise up. And what's brought us here to be so docile, to be so asleep, to be so lackadaisical? Toleration campaigns. When you look at history, it's always worked.